Hey, what's up everyone, my name is Andrew, and in this video we're gonna restore, mod and back in function the Xbox 360 Slim. Well, I bought this Xbox in a very to bad condition, but in general this console is still alive. Cosmetically, all over the case are scratches, and to some points the case is broken, but nothing serious, and the entire case is very sticky. I think this is from some soda. Also, I got this Xbox without disk, and the CD-ROM sometimes is going to open, but sometimes is not. The power brick comes with a damaged cable, but no problem at all. I already have some of these cables, and I replace it. And while testing, the power brick also become pretty hot, out of the normal range. And the last thing is the controller. The controller is still working except the buttons A, X, Y, and B. Actually, these buttons are working, but they aren't reacting always, or reacting under a higher pressure. Well, and this is all about, and now let's start. Return this console to a normal function again and make something better. And first, I start with a full disassembling process. Also, this process may look easy in the video, but in reality is much more different. Opening the case requests using much more pressure and force, and to some points may sound like you're going to break the case, especially if the case has never opened before. The top plastics are connected to the case via plastic clips, and these clips needs to be released from the inside of the case. Actually, the entire case is connected with these plastic clips. The back side is harder to open, because the plastic clips are stronger. So here, 3 of the clips needs to be released with some tool. And the 4th and the last clip is releasing by pressing the case. This clip is upside down compared with the others. Now the case is easy to open. I remove one of the panels and I continue with removing the long screws. The other place where need attention is the front side. In the front side is a cable that can be easily torn and damaged. So the front plastic panel needs to be removed slowly and carefully. Now, I continue with removing the other parts and the screws from the case. Now is the second hard part, and that is removing the metal heatsink holder. This holder is tied very hard to the heatsink, and here I have to be very careful. First I place a soft cleaning cloth around, and then I took a flathead screwdriver. I place the screwdriver between the heatsink and the holder, and I just twist with the screwdriver to release the clamps. The cleaning cloths I use it to protect the motherboard. While removing the holder, the screwdriver may slide away and cause some damage to the motherboard. But with the cloths, the chance to damage something is minimal. Well, after I took out the heatsink, I continue with disassembling and separating the outer parts from the Xbox, and preparing for the next process. Now, when I finish with disassembling the Xbox, I move to cleaning the electronics. And first, I start with cleaning the motherboard. Here, first I remove the old and dry thermal paste from the Xbox chip. And later, I continue with cleaning the dust and the dirt. To clean the motherboard, I use brushes. One is a soft painting brush and the other is very soft makeup brush. After I clean the motherboard, I move to cleaning the CD-ROM. Also here, first I use brushes. I remove all the dust and dirt. And later, I used 96% isopropyl alcohol and cotton buds to clean some other parts and to clean the rubber belt. In the most cases, why some CD-ROM is getting stuck is the rubber belt. And the solution is very simple. The rubber belt needs cleaning. When I'm done with the CD-ROM, I move to cleaning the other electronics from the inside, including the front plastic panel with a cable. After I got all the electronics clean, I moved to the power brick and the Xbox controller. The power brick has 4 screws under the rubber feet and the plastic cups. So the rubber feet are first, then the plastic cups, and under are the 4 screws. I'm doing this because I need to clean the cooling fan from the power brick. Probably you didn't know, but the power brick has a small cooling fan from the inside. Also here is not recommended to touch any of the components, because the capacitors may hold a high voltage, even hours after the power brick is disconnected from the power source. So the cleaning here needs to go very slow and very carefully. After I got the power brick electronics clean, I moved to the controller. The Xbox 360 controller is easy to disassemble. From the bottom side are 7 screws. 6 are clearly visible, but the last one is placed under the sticker which is under the batteries. Removing the parts from the inside of the controller is very simple. There is a motherboard, silicone pads, buttons, and 2 vibration motors. The vibration motors are with a connector. I mean the motors are not soldered like to the other controllers from the newer Xbox or PlayStation. This is great because it's harder to cause some damage, like to torn and desolder the wires. First I start with cleaning the motherboard from the controller, and here I used 2 brushes because to remove the dust, and I used a cotton buds and 96% isopropyl alcohol to clean the contacts under the buttons. Now, after I finish with cleaning all the electronics and some parts that have electronics on them, I move to the washing process. I wash all the plastics using warm water and dish soap, because this is the only way to remove all the dust and anything else from the plastics. After I wash all the parts, I move to some repairs. Here, using a super glue, I stick plastics which were broken. Well, now I move to making some additional modifications. To one of the side panels, I want to make a window, so the parts from the inside of the Xbox will be visible. First, using a pencil, I mark where do I need to cut. And then, I took my Dremel tool. I use Dremel because this is the only tool available for some work like this. The cutting goes very slow, and at this point I have to be extremely careful, because I want to make a clean and very precise cut. After I cut the side panel, I used rasp, sandpaper, and a sharp knife to make all edges smooth and in the right shape. When I got the side window, now I need some acrylic. The acrylic panel, I took it from a broken 17-inch laptop display. The LCD laptop display has a thin acrylic from the inside, and as well some other materials that can be used for some other projects. When I took out the acrylic, I moved to marking. Where do I need to cut? Also, before cutting over the acrylic, I place a paper tape. The paper tape will reinforce the acrylic, and with this, I will avoid some cracks that may become while cutting. So again, using a Dremel tool, carefully I cut the part that I need. And later, I move to the sanding process because to remove the surplus plastic and make the panel in a right dimension. But also, using a Dremel tool, I modify the Cd-Rom case, so the CD will be visible from the inside. Now, I move to the taping process. Using a paper tape, I protect some parts from getting painted. And as well, I have to remove the tiny Xbox letters, because these letters are so small and simply impossible to protect them using a tape only. First, I took a deep black spray, and with this spray, I paint the metal case from the inside and the both plastics from the case. Now I took a pure white spray, and with this spray, I paint most of the parts, but also I make some additional details, and for that I use a transparent pearl white spray. With a pearl white spray, I created drops and dots, but only over the Xbox case. On camera, on video, isn't much noticeable, but in reality is different. The case looks like it has a white shiny glitters, but only visible from some angles. So the case sometimes is pure white, but sometimes white with glitters. And as the final paint, I took a gold spray. With a gold spray, I have created drops and dots over the controller, the power brick, and some other parts. The last thing what I've done is, I stick the front acrylic window to the case, but here accidentally the glue has leaked around the corners. My fault. So I waited until the glue gets dry, and then to cover my mistake, I've decided to make a small frame around. Again, I cross over a small taping process. And then, using a white and gold spray, I have created a tiny bezel that covers the glue. And with this, I finish with all modifications, and now I move to the assembling process. While assembling, I've made one more modification, installing RGB LEDs from the inside. At first, I want to solder the LEDs to the Xbox motherboard. But the problem is, these LEDs and the controller are 5 volts only, and the power from the Xbox is 12 volts. So I mod the USB connector to make it small enough to fit to the inside of the Xbox. Actually, these LEDs will be connected to the front side in the front USB port. The Xbox is almost complete, but one more thing is missing, and that is the hard disk. And for this Xbox I will use a 500GB Western Digital Blue. But before I place the disk, I have to reprogram or flash the disk to make it compatible with the Xbox. So for this, I took my older laptop that has ID and ATA support. Otherwise, this process will fail. And here I cross over a very short and simple process of flashing the disk and creating a partition. Also for this, I need some additional files. But all of that is widely and easily available searching the Google. Now, after I place the disk, I have done one last polish up. I mean removing the dust and the fingerprints that I created while assembling. And after all these changes, this is the final result. So what, I wanna hang with my friends. So what, I wanna go out again. So what, I wanna write you a song. It's not my fault that you can't sing along. I try to keep it cool anyways. I try to stay away from the stage. I'm making my way and I'm good on my own. Skipping the show cause it's all that I know. It goes like singing. And few more words about this Xbox 360. This is an older game console, and many of the newer games aren't available to play. But if you look back, there is hundreds of great and iconic games that can be played on this console. The games are cheaper and easy to find, so you can enjoy playing more titles. And personally, I really enjoy playing the Xbox 360. I wanna hang with my friends. Just wanna be. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope this video will give ideas and inspiration to back in function, use and enjoy some older tech. Also, if you want to support my work and my channel, you can press the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Singing.